Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Top 3 most painful torture methods. Number 3. The Swedish drink. Despite sounding like a refreshing beverage, the Swedish drink was quite the opposite. Peasants were forced to drink a mixture of poo and pee, and not to mention any other foul items found laying around that day, just so they would pay their taxes. Number 2. Boiling. Started by England, they would begin boiling alive, and would cook the victim's body from the outside in. And modern accounts of people falling into hot springs suggest that they would be conscious for most of the ordeal. Number 1. The saw. Before the saw was used to cut through trees, it was used to slice through humans for torture. The victim would be tied up upside down, and the upside down posture would keep the blood in the victim's head, so they wouldn't pass out, while slowly being cut in half, sometimes even staying alive long enough to watch their upper chest be ripped apart. Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Top 3 close calls with death. Number 3. A jet pilot is sitting on the runway after his engine stalls. The plane signaler messed up and instructed 3 planes to go ahead and take off. 2 planes ended up colliding, leaving the jet pilot with only scratches on his head and a close call from the Grim Reaper. Number 2. After cars in front of them came to an abrupt halt, the car you see turns a bit so he wouldn't hit the car in front of him. Sadly, semis don't stop that easy, and this one was sent flying down the side of the road, trying desperately to stop. If this driver had moved just seconds later, it would have been his last seconds. Number 1. While running from the law, this criminal loses control of his vehicle, in a sense swerving into a tree. The car was so mangled they struggled to get the guy out, but eventually he was pulled out. He was hurt, but he got to heal in jail. A TikToker has died from COVID-19. She was deeply ingrained in TikTok culture, and if you didn't know her videos, you may know her from this sound.
That is very much adequate.
And if not that, probably the spam of comments that came early 2020 of her saying. She passed away March 31st, 2020 from complications of coronavirus. Her sister later confirmed this.
She passed away this morning due to complications from COVID-19.
And even worse, their mother passed away just 6 days before this, from non-COVID-19 related issues. It's time to take COVID-19 serious. It's not an old person disease. It can harm anyone and everyone. Rest in peace, smoking hot balls. Even after life, your crazy sense of humor keeps us laughing. Ancient languages. These are what some of the most popular ancient languages sounded like.
Maria, Shamsu sin hohe.
Equidem nullum aliud consilium nisi mali vestri impediendi dineo.
Ishta sumra rashupti ilatim litait pelet nishi rabit igi.
Panolti, ni Diego iwan ashkan ni no machtihtika mexicanotlastoli.
Euteton hypnos amarta. Luon velademetatum.
Setjumst þá rökstola, bróðir. Hvað hef ég gjört til að bera svo báa kvenhyrni?
Tu hopo no kokin. Tu hal na kaan. Tu tibi tal u hopo. Lail shopon.
Kikwit Echo. Valachten Mazri.
Native American languages. Lots of people believe the Native Americans were just one big people, not knowing each tribe has their own language. Here are some of today's most populous tribes' languages. We'll start with mine, from the Karuk tribe. Fatikupawena, Purupa, Karaim, Cherokee, Osigwosu, Osigwo, Ihina, Uyoi, now Blackfoot, Oki Sonatapi, Anuk Sisikoi, Navajo, Ahaiba Ninja, Ahade, Hagodinia, Apache, CJ Gonze, Hantegoze, Dishirake, Ate.
Karahashupuar, Karahashkari, Karahashudi, Topuar, and Panikechi, who the Tapanikupe.
Sleep paralysis. Imagine going to bed like normal. You sleep fine for a few hours, maybe even have a slight dream, but you wake up for some reason. You think, I need to be up in a few hours, but I really have to pee. And finally, after a few moments of deliberation, you decide to get up. But wait, that's weird. You just said you'd get up, but nothing happened. You try again, and you realize your brain isn't communicating with your limbs. You want to move, but an impending doom rushes over your body. What is that? An alien? A ghost? I could just move. Wait, why is it getting so hard to breathe? It's really weird. Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Creepiest things on the dark web. Number 3. Cannibals. Some people's biggest fear is being eaten alive, while others have a sick hunger for it. There are forums where cannibals get together and lop off pieces of their own, or even a victim's body, and eat them together, fulfilling their weird and dark dreams. Number 2. Stillborns. There are sites dedicated to mothers who lost their babies before or at birth. For some reason, they couldn't deal with the fact that they lost their baby, so they'll keep their dead fetuses and dress them up and play with them like their little kids are still alive. It's very sad, yet creepy in its own way. Number 1. Bodies. For the sickest of the sick, there are sites about deceased and rotten dead bodies, almost being a competition on who can find or even make the most disturbing corpses. But believe me when I say, that's not even the worst it gets. Uncontacted humans. Off the coast of India lies the North Sentinel Island, home to some of the last uncontacted humans in the world. They branched out and have been living quietly on this island for nearly 30,000 years, giving us a good depiction of what early human civilization was like. There's anywhere from 80 to 500 people living on this island. They hunt from canoes, eat fruit, and hunt with poles in shallow water. What they don't like are visitors. In the 1800s, the British claimed it was their island and kidnapped 6 of their people. Their immune systems weren't prepared for their sicknesses, and when all 6 got deathly sick, they threw them back on the shore of the island. And ever since, visitors are met with arrows and rocks. Many Christians have raided the island, claiming they need to force their religion on them, not caring that they already have culture and religion, and every time, they are killed. The Sentinelese people have lives. They have rights. Just leave them be. Serious. What's the creepiest confession that you have heard from an otherwise normal person? Told me that he used to go on forums and boards dedicated to people struggling with depression, and he'd PM the ones feeling suicidal with instructions on how to go about killing themselves, and give encouragement to do so. I've never lost so much respect for a person within the duration of a couple minutes. I was having a few beers with a much older teacher. He told me he used to sleep with 13-year-olds when he was 30 and living in his hometown. Someone close to me killed their stepdad's dog by feeding it Tylenol PM and peanut butter because it annoyed her. My ex told me he killed a horse. He wasn't drunk, he wasn't dead or anything. He just saw the horse and decided, I should kill this horse. He gutted it and everything, and he liked it. Mine isn't as bad as all the censored stories in this thread, but when I was a cashier, a guy was buying around 50 cans of wet cat food and just making friendly conversation. I asked how many cats he had. Big mistake. He had no cats. He eats it. Top 3 photos before disaster. Number 3. Parkour. This photo shows Pavel Kashin performing a backflip on the wall's ledge. His friend took this photo mid-flight. Sadly, his stunt led to his death, as he lost his footing on the way down and fell to his demise. Number 2. Niagara crash. This here is Joseph Avery. When his boat crashed, he and 2 others fell out, and sadly, the other 2 were killed instantly. But somehow, Avery clung to a rock for nearly 18 hours while waiting for a rescue boat. Unfortunately, the moment he stepped onto the rescue boat for safety, that boat also capsized, then finally killing him. Number 1. Columbine. This is teacher William Sanders. He stayed to guide over hundreds of students to safety during the Columbine tragedy. He saved countless lives, but unfortunately lost his own when he was later shot in the chest twice during the Columbine massacre. The loneliest man on earth. Very little is known about this man. He is classified as uncontacted, meaning no outside has ever spoken to him. He is believed to be the only survivor after a group of 6 was attacked by farmers in 1995. His tribe was never named, and it's not known what language they used. For years, the Brazilian media dubbed him as Man of the Hole, because he leaves behind deep ditches, presumably to trap animals or even to hide. In the past, he's also abandoned straw huts and handmade tools, such as resin torches and arrows. Today, farmers and illegal loggers still want this protected land. He's in danger because the moment he's taken out, the land is no longer protected. But contacting him could result in an attack. But even if he was peaceful, he would most likely die from commonly treated diseases his immune system would be compromised from. He's now in his 50s, and thanks to being protected, he will stay uncontacted until his passing. The last of an unknown people, still living in the Stone Age with no idea what's going on out here, and probably never will. Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Top 3 close calls with death. Number 3. A young man minding his own business has no time to think when concrete falls from the roof. Without his super quick reaction, he would have surely been squished like a bug. Number 2. While on an African safari ride, the driver gets too close for comfort to an elephant, and a chase ensues. Luckily, moments after the video stops, the elephant gets tired and stops its chase. Number 1. A jet pilot knows well in advance his landing gear has malfunctioned. While going in for the landing, he lowers it as slow and low as possible. But the jet still catches fire from sparks flying everywhere. Somehow, when all was said and done, nobody was even hurt, and the worst was just a pretty big insurance claim. Missing persons. January 27th, 1959, 7 men and 2 women left for a hiking trip to the Ural Mountains in Russia, going on a 14-day hike up the Ototen Mountain on a 190-mile trip. Somehow, this fairly normal trip of all expert hikers never made it. But after a month of no contact from the hikers, the family sent out search parties. On February 26th, the group was found. But things took a turn for the paranormal. The tents were badly damaged, and all possessions were still in them, including their shoes. And even weirder, the cuts came from the inside. In the nearby woods, where 2 of their bodies were found, they were only in underwear. And where the others were found a few days later, the internal damage was so bad, it looked like they were in a high-speed crash. And somehow, the outside of their bodies had no wounds. And for some explainable reason, their clothes were highly radioactive. What do you think? Can this all be explained away? Or is something oddly paranormal going on here? Top 5 scary facts to keep you up at night. Number 5. You have the highest chance of being murdered by someone you know rather than a stranger. Number 4. Pill bugs / roly-polies aren't actually bugs. They're technically crustaceans, like tiny land lobsters. Number 3. There's estimated to be around 25 to 50 serial killers active at all times in the United States. Number 2. As you die, your last sense to go is actually your hearing, so luckily you'll be able to hear yourself die. Number 1. People who get less than 6 hours sleep at night have an increased chance to die prematurely, and in rare cases, people have been known to die just from insomnia alone. Do what you will with those facts. Goodbye. Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Top 3 most painful torture methods. Number 3. The heretic's fork. The heretic's fork was a torture method made up by the Catholic priest, utilized for anyone who had the guts to speak out or not agree with their religion. Their victims' hands were tied behind their backs, while sharp forks impaled from their chin to their chest. They were forced to look up to God while it was almost impossible to speak. Number 2. Kneel hauling. During the 18th century, rival pirates, unwilling to share their wealth, would be thrown overboard and strapped to the boat. Sharp barnacles would shred their skin apart, while blood attracted hungry sharks below. I'm sure you know what happens. Number 1. Flaying. Also known as being skinned alive. In biblical times, a knife would slice the victim from wrist to wrist and down the chest, leaving muscles and organs exposed. It was said to feel like burning lava. They were so accurate with each cut, the victim could be kept alive in agonizing pain for anywhere from 3 to 5 days. The first joke ever. The oldest joke ever recorded was made in 1900 BC and was found on a Sumerian cuneiform and went as follows. Something which has never occurred since time immemorial. A young woman did not fart on her husband's lap. So as it turns out, the oldest joke ever is actually a fart joke. But what about the second joke, which is made in 1500 BC? It goes as follows. How do you entertain a pharaoh? You sail a boat of young women dressed only in fishnets down the Nile River and urge the pharaoh to catch a fish. What about the third oldest joke ever? Someone has to have some class. Well, this was made by the ingenious Babylonians. They had a joke that goes as follows. Of your mother is it by the one who has intercourse with her? Who is it? Yeah, so the third joke ever was actually a yo mama joke. Who would have known? Living in the now. We look back to the past with nostalgic glasses, not realizing we're living in the future's past that will also be nostalgic. Taking what we have now for granted, whether it be youth, or money, or even happiness, that it will all be taken away one day by the inevitability of death. Not bad, nor good, just the way life works. And though it seems like it'll never happen to us, one day our expiration date will pass, and along with it, all our memories, objects, and feelings will be gone. Once your great-great-great-grandchildren are born, they'll likely not know who you are, the way you don't know who your great-great-great-grandparents were. And though you may be minuscule in the grand scheme of things, you're the center of your own subjective universe. So why not make the most of that universe while you're here, live in the now, and look back to the past for inspiration without yearning for a time that will never be again. So when your life story finally finishes, you'll be satisfied with the ending.